Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to get started in a Photoshop project from scratch, and then I'm also going to teach you a few tools to help get you started. So the first thing is, how do I get my picture into this Photoshop project or into this program? So there's a couple of ways. One is, as you keep working with it, your most recent projects will start to populate in this most recent section. So these are all of my projects that I've been working on. But you don't have that yet. So you're going to need to do one of two things. One is right above here, nope, there, is this Create New button. And when you create new, this will be blank for you because this says your most recent items. You can go to Print, and then this letter format is going to give you the right dimensions for a regular paper, that goes in your printer if you were going to print it. And so that would look like this. So you just get it like on a blank page. Once you have that, you can drag your picture in that you've already used or that you've searched for, or you can do File, Place, and there's either Place Embedded or Place Linked. Place Embedded means the whole file is going to be in this same file. Place Linked means if you were to change something or the location of that other image, this would also be affected. So like, let's say you saved it on your desktop, put Place Linked, and then delete it off your desktop, then you would lose the image. So I try to say Place Embedded. There's probably reasons why to or not to do that. Okay, so the picture that I'm going to use I saved it in my Google Drive. So I've already in this folder, Hybrid Remote. And then I would select it and place. Once I place it, it's going to say, okay, do you want it here? If you want it there, you can either hit enter or you can change it if you want. And then you hit the check mark. Okay, so now it's not so pixelated. So that's one way to open a new image. The other way from this first screen that we saw is to just go straight to open. And the difference in this, you'll see, is I'm still in the same folder that I was at, so I'm going to pick the same picture. But now when I open it, it's automatically going to make the canvas the same size as the picture that I'm using. So I like to do it that way because then I don't have any kind of excess, but it's up to you really. So the first tool that we're going to use is this Move tool. It's at the top of your toolbar. If you hover over it, you'll see it says Move, moves a selection or a layer. Anytime you see this, that means that's the shortcut. So you could also hit, if you were on a different tool and you tapped V, it'll move it back to the Move tool. So Move just does that. It's going to move this layer. Over here, yours might have imported, it might say background down here. It might say layer 1. It might have a lock over here. Any of that is fine. It doesn't matter really what it says. So I'm going to make another copy of this layer though. I'm going to 2-finger click, so not a double click, a 2-finger click on my trackpad. And then I'm going to click duplicate layer. I'm going to do make it. I like to name my stuff so I know what I'm working with. Okay, so I have 2 layers here. This eyeball will hide the top layer. This eyeball will hide the bottom layer. Anytime you see this gray and white checkerboard background in Photoshop, and that means it's transparent. So that means that's not going to print. It won't print those checker boxes. It just won't print anything. If I were to show my bottom layer and kind of move it over to the side, that means when you go to print this, it's just going to print this part and all this will be blank over here. Okay, so that's what that means. Okay, so I'm back in my Move tool. I can move things around. I can make sure I'm on the right layer because you can only move one layer at a time. So it depends on what layer you are on that you can move that. You can always drag layers around if you're working on later. Okay, so that's the Move tool. Zoom. You are going to, on your trackpad, zoom out like this. And then you can zoom back. I guess you're zooming in and then zooming out. The other way to do this, or if you just want to get to 100%, is right underneath here. There's a little tiny 100, mine says 109%. You can click it and type 100% and it'll automatically go back to 100. If you need to zoom in more, 150%, 200%. Okay, so that's how you can zoom in, or I just use the trackpad all the time. And then the last thing in this video is transform. To get to the transform tool, you're going to hold command and type T for transform, and you'll get these bounding boxes. And this is how you can readjust the size if you want to. Okay. Even if you're trying to make it like super skinny or super tall right now, it's going to keep the proportions the same. If you want to kind of like pull this straight out, you would have to hold down Shift, the Shift key, and then look, then I can stretch it. So obviously that's going to distort the picture, but by holding Shift, you can still kind of distort that. And Command Z is going to be your friend. You can kind of keep commanding Z as far back as you need to. And so that's it for now. So you know how to open an image, you know how to move it around, you know how to duplicate the layer, you know how to zoom in and out, and you know how to transform. Oh, before we finish here though, because I still see these transform boxes, I can see up here it's saying, are you sure that's what you want? And so you can either hit enter or hit the check marks or say, nope, never mind. I don't want that. Okay? So practice with your own image now.